friend.
Hello.
How are you feeling now that we're like a couple weeks out from nationals? Have you recovered?
I feel like I finally recovered. It took a little while for me, to be honest.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think it was a lot for a lot of people. So, like, what was your overall experience there?
good. It was amazing to be there, be around all the other puzzlers. I loved most of the puzzles. Some of them were a little trickier, but they were still good. It was overall a wonderful experience that I'm glad I went.
Yeah. And this was your second nationals, right?
Yes, I went last year for the first time.
Yeah. So, like, going into it the second time, what were some of the thoughts? Like, did you have certain goals, or did you feel like you approached it any differently than the first time?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I didn't know quite what to expect the first time around. And it was a lot, just the overstimulation, all of the noises, lights, people. So I knew what to expect going in this time, although it was a little bit different setting. I was more prepared. I think I was more prepared mentally, and then also just with the things that I brought to help me deal with all of the stimulating noises. Like I brought noise canceling headphones. So that I just knew what to expect, although there's only part of that you can expect because you don't know what puzzle you're going to get. You don't know what other outside factors are going to be part of the competition. But yeah, I knew there was going to be cameras on me. There was going to be some level of noise and lights. So that was good going into it. I feel like this last year, I feel like I've worked a lot on my confidence. I think going in, I think I still struggle with like imposter syndrome, like I don't belong here. And
Yeah.
so I think working through that this past year and just like practicing more at home, but then also going to more in-person events locally also helped me just like, okay, I can do this. I know how to put together a puzzle. It depends on what type of puzzle it is, whether I do really well or not. But yeah, I feel like just mentally, I was um, a lot more prepared this time
Yeah.
around.
Well, I'm curious, like, what do you do to get in a better place mentally? Like, do you have tips for other people who are maybe like new to speed puzzling or trying to figure that out themselves?
Yeah. Oh, I feel like the mental part of it is the hardest part of it for me. And I feel like a lot of puzzlers could say the same thing. Like I've puzzled my whole life. I know how to put pieces together, but battling with like the self-doubt, oh, this puzzle is hard. I don't know what to do next. Those are all things I'm like probably going to always have to wrestle with at like to some extreme or the other. So I don't know if I have like super like miraculous this is how you should do it and you'll always have good thoughts tips, but I do know what has worked better for me. I think over time, like having the experience definitely helps, like practicing different strategies, practicing how you organize the pieces, whether you know what kind of puzzle it is. It depends on like whether you're gonna sort the edges out and do them first or not. And so just kind of having, you can't always have the perfect strategy set up because you don't know what puzzle you're gonna get, but having some kind of like, this is where I'm gonna put my pieces on the left side, the right side, some kind of strategy that works best for yourself. And you figure that out by doing it at home. Like you figure it out by practicing a lot at home. One thing that I would say has helped me just in my mentalness is talking about the puzzle in my mind instead of like letting, like I tend to wander, like especially when I first let the pieces out and I'm flipping, because it's like not something you have to think about to flip necessarily. It's just like you're flipping pieces over. So my mind likes to go to la la land and be like, la, da, da, like what am I gonna eat today? And like I'm like, no, focus on the puzzle. So if I give myself like words to repeat and say to myself, that helps me stay focused. And I feel like it helps me keep like the stamina, I guess, up. So when I'm doing the edges, I say in my mind like edge, 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 edge. Like I'm like
Oh, okay.
edge, 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 and I just say it to myself until I have all the edges. And then the next thing is okay. I don't know. like with this puzzle, it was, I started with the water. So I was like, water, water, water. And then that didn't go well. And so then I started with this like fountain part, and you just say it in your mind. And I think there's probably more things that I'll figure out to say to myself. But right now I just repeat the same thing over and over, like that I'm doing to keep myself on track.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I don't think I've heard anyone say that they do that, but that's
Yeah.
cool. Like I might try that because I'm very like squirrel, squirrel, right? I'm like all over the place. So I feel like I also need to find a way to like, focus on the thing now. Like later Joyce will take care of that section. Yeah. And
Yeah.
one thing I've heard like several people say is that like when they pull a puzzle out of the box, they just say, "Oh my gosh, I love this puzzle. This is my favorite puzzle." Because even if they hate it, it gets them in that more positive mentality.
Yeah.
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 I don't
I
know
have
if you
not
do
done
that
that
at all.
yet. Yeah. But I will try next time to have more of a positive outlook on it, no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Cool. Good tip. I'm totally going to try that because I think
Okay.
talking to myself in some way I find somewhat helpful.
Yeah.
Um,
Same.
so when you mention like having a strategy, knowing what you're going to do, having a plan that helps you to like feel better prepared. So what are some of the things? What are parts of your plan? How do you approach setting yourself up for speed puzzling?
Yeah. Um, I would say like there's some things that you can watch others do, that you can get faster at. I think the initial flip and like sorting out the edges can be something you can get faster at with practice. And so I remember watching like Alejandro in Worlds and just seeing him just go so quickly, but then also learning his tricks on how he did that. Like he was tucking in edge pieces underneath his hand and just flipping with these two fingers. And so I'm like, I'm going to try that. It was a little awkward at first, but now that I've done it so much, it's not awkward anymore. And so I set myself a goal this past year to get my flip and sorting at the edges under 3 minutes. And I feel like for the most part, I can do that. If it's a like a large piece puzzle, like the large Ravensburgers, there's no way because they're big and I'm
Oh, yeah.
clumsy with the bigger pieces. But I would say with like most normal Ravensburgers, getting under a certain time limit, like in setting that for yourself. Um, and if you really wanted to practice, you could just take out a puzzle and just practicing that initial flip and sorting, until you get used to how it feels to grab the pieces and the edges. um, I would say like I remember like looking back at my first nationals experience, I had the produce from hell, in the heat. I don't remember what heat I was in. I think it was like B or something. And
I had
I
the same one.
did you? Yeah, yeah. Oh, I was a scattered mess. Like it was my very first time ever competing like that and in person, and I just didn't know what I was doing with my pieces. Like everything was everywhere. I had no mental like check-in about like why these pieces are over there, why these pieces. It's just that they were everywhere. They were inside my puzzle, and so I feel like one thing I've worked on this past year is where my pieces are going so that I don't have to think about that as much. Like sometimes we put pieces randomly in weird places and we find them later, but I'm always going to dump my pieces out on the left side now, and they're going to stay on that left side, and they're going to be on top of each other because I don't necessarily need them all spread out evenly like some people do, and that's fine, but I need them close together. Like I need to see all my pieces in one area, especially if you don't have a lot of space to work on. It just makes it so that you have more space. And then if I'm grabbing, like, say there's like a yellow door in the puzzle, I'm going to grab those pieces and put them in front of me and try to build right away. And so I don't necessarily have a whole bunch of sorting piles at the beginning. I kind of am a grab and pull in place, unless I'm so squirrely too. Like I'll go to grab the yellow door and then I'll see like the red polka dot mushroom and I'm like, oh, I want to grab that too. And so that's why I have to say it in my mind of like, yellow door, yellow door, yellow door,
Yeah,
stay
yeah.
to it, and grab that. But then I'm also, if I can't find where pieces go, my right side is where I place them. So I'm not putting them back into that left side where I'll like run into them again and be like
Oh,
confused.
yeah.
again, I'm placing them somewhere else. And some people use like a sorting tray to do that, like their emotional support tray, which I haven't practiced with yet. So I'm not quite brave enough to do it in competition, but I think I'm going to start like maybe using a small tray to put those miscellaneous pieces on. So at the
Uh-huh.
end, I just grab that tray and take it with me and place them.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, I think organization has been a huge part of like my strategy this past year is just staying organized with the pieces.
Yeah. The emotional support tray is like a new one. I know some people have like a puzzle jail, like a
Oh
designated
yes,
spot for like puzzle jail.
puzzle jail. Like don't touch those pieces till the very end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. I was wondering because you mentioned like the large size pieces.
Mhm.
Um, I kind of wondered about that. Like, would they ever put one in a major competition? I'm trying to remember. Has there ever been a large size piece puzzle in like a world or I don't
Not,
think
I don't think in
internationals.
Worlds or Nationals. There was in the Pacific Northwest Regionals last year that
Oh,
Jonathan Speed Puzzling did. That
yeah.
was, yeah, it was, I forget like cozy bathroom. And it was a large piece, and we were sharing half of a table. And that
Uh,
was also piece management. I was not at a place where I was good with piece management, and I don't know if I still am, but it was almost impossible to put the edge together at all until way later because of all like the pieces just took over the entire space.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. It would be really hard to manage the space because when in last year's nationals, when we did the pairs and it was 1,000 piece and you had half a table, like that was rough because you
That
had
was
so
hard. Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
So, and I noticed this year they did away with that. So I
Okay.
wonder if they
Yeah.
sort of decided it's not really ideal for speed.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. I missed having a larger puzzle to do with a pairs partner though. I think that that's really,
Oh,
yours is my favorite. I love puzzling with another person.
yeah.
So I missed having a longer time to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were paired with Kelly Burr.
Yes.
Um, Tell me how that partnership formed. How did that come to be?
Oh, I met Kelly at last year at Nationals, and we just clicked. Like it wasn't like we hung out all the time, but it just every time we saw each other, it was like, oh, I love you, you're wonderful. So our personalities kind of meshed. And then when I heard about this year and kind of trying to figure out, do do you stay with like the same pairs partner that you've always had, or do you want to mix it up? And I think I'm kind of at a place where like I want to puzzle with different people and experience like different styles, learn something from them, and get that just like those memories with another. I don't necessarily want to be locked in with someone for the rest of my speed puzzling days, although I do like that too. But it's like there's so many amazing, wonderful puzzlers in this community, and so the first person I thought if I could ever have a Paris part, a new one, it would be Kelly because I just love her so much. And so I don't know, I think I might have just messaged her or someone else had mentioned that I was thinking about it. And so we ended up like both like wanting to be paired up together, which was kind of fun and agreeing to that. Yeah, and we'd never practiced until we got to nationals in Washington D.C. And it wasn't until like right before the first competition we did one little practice puzzle together, and then that was our second puzzle together in the competition. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I assume you had conversations before though.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what did you figure out were kind of like each of your maybe strengths or areas to focus on? How did you kind of figure out who would do what?
Yeah, we met, I think, once on Zoom, and we did do a puzzle together and kind of talk a little bit about strategy. She has mentioned and is very good at busier puzzles, and I'm not. Like I'll do them, but they make my head spin. So she's very good at like that pick and place, like really busy puzzles, and I love gradients, like any color, kind of color shade difference, skies. I color block stuff I love so much, so we knew that that was a good thing that we had going, that we both had different strengths. But a lot of it we did have to figure out once we were there. Like there were a couple things in the first, we had this beautiful painters,
Oh,
what's
yeah.
it called? Yeah, art studio. We were figuring out things while we were doing this that were like, okay, next time we compete, we'll change that. Like because of her pick and place amazingness, she would put pieces inside, like just like a one piece going, and I would come along and I'd be like, what's that piece doing there? And I would move it. And then
Yeah.
she would come across that piece and be like, I already put this in and put it back in. And so we talked about that later. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. Like I wasn't even thinking. I was just like, oh, this is a random piece. What's it doing here?
Yeah, we definitely had that some of that stuff on my team too,
Yeah.
where like I had put pieces where they would go. I think especially on the Dean McAdam one,
Yes.
the underwater scene one, and then someone's like, "What are these stray pieces doing here?" They're going to take it. It's like, no, no, no. I put them where they go. So yeah, that communication super super important.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that was really fun though to figure that out with her. And I feel like we did a little bit better the next time around. Another thing I was doing was I was kind of hoarding pieces like along my side of the puzzle that like either I thought, these are all similar colors and I'll get to them, or it was like they were my puzzle jail. And that was something I needed to, if they were in my jail, they needed to go over closer to her so that she could do them because there were
Yeah,
pieces that I was not able to figure out. So, yeah, I feel like those are things that with time and more practice together, like we can really improve our times. Yeah, just
yeah,
little communication things. Yeah.
for sure. And then Kelly was also one of your team members on the team of four.
Yes.
Also Hannah Scott and Alice Rowe, last
Yes.
year's Angels champion.
Yes.
So
Yay.
how did that team form?
Yeah, our team Juggernauts. Well, Hannah and I paired last year at Nationals, and then we were also on the team with you. And so I knew that I wanted to like check in with her and see if there was some way we could still like stay together for a team. So I had let her know that Kelly and I were thinking about pairing up, and then she was like, "Okay, I don't know who to pair up with." And then I'd heard through, I think Becca, that Alice might be available. So I was like, "I'm going to message Alice," and she messaged Alice, and then they decided to pair up. And then it was kind of a waiting period of like, are we going to puzzle together? Are we not? And then Alice was like, I'm in. And we all agreed. And that's how it was born. And it was, yeah,
I
so
feel like
cool.
Becca is such a like speed puzzling matchmaker. Like she's always like connecting teams with each other.
Mhm.
Because didn't she put you and Hannah together for
She
last
did. Yep.
year?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because her and Hannah had paired up for Worlds. And then she was pairing up with Kelly, who was my pairs partner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like I'm the only one on my team that hasn't paired up with Becca yet, but I think that's going to be changing soon for
Yeah.
next
Oh,
season.
I hope that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, when she can compete, because obviously now that she's a board member, she can't compete in the nationals
Yeah.
if she's helping organize it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So let's see, you're in Washington, Hannah is in DC area, right?
Yes. Yep.
And Alice is in Colorado,
Yep.
and where's Kelly?
California.
California. Okay, so you're
Yeah.
all spread
We're
out
all over.
across the
Yes.
pond.
Yeah.
That's how my team was too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was then the first time you all practiced together at in DC.
Yeah.
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 Oh,
We
at
had,
Hannah's house, right?
yeah. So we had done one meeting online that we were all able to attend, and kind of talk a little bit about strategy and do a puzzle together. But then Hannah came and picked us all up from the airport on Thursday, and we went to her house, which was so much fun, and met her family. And we did like I think maybe three or four puzzles together, and we were all completely exhausted from a day of travel. But she also like fed us. It was just really wonderful. It was a good bonding time, I think, for us all because it was the first time we'd met in person as a team. But our puzzling times, I wouldn't say that they were very great. Like I don't think the puzzles that we did, our times were like, oh wow, we're gonna like crush this. We're all kind of like, okay, this is good to know where we are. But I think we were all just so tired that we weren't at our best individually either. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But then, how did you do in prelims and finals?
Yeah, so prelims came along and oh my goodness, it's just so funny because we didn't practice together and we're going up against teams that have been to nationals before together or even worlds and done so well, just been able to practice a ton together. And so we were still figuring out our stinking strategy like seconds before we started. And even with that first, the prelims, we learned so much about like things we were going to change for the next round. So we ended up getting second in our heat, which was so exciting. And Zacho, I have to give him a good shout out because Zacho Puzzle Boards, Zach lent us some trays. And so we knew we were going to use them, but we also didn't efficiently use them, I would say, in that first round with the puzzles that we had. Kelly and I were on borders. And so like I'll show everyone the beautiful puzzle that we had for the first round. It's just so gorgeous. So Kelly and I started on the edge, which was like three layers of pieces deep. And then Hannah and Alice did the inside. And I mean, it's so fun to see like everyone's different strengths come in because I mean, Alice is just a beast. She's gonna like put together pieces faster than you can like think about putting them together. And then Hannah is incredibly good at like sorting and she's really fast at it and she loves it. Like she like practically is singing about it, how wonderful it is while she's doing it. And so it's just really fun that she's loving that part of it, but then also feeding us all pieces and we don't have to like go search on our own. It's like not on this puzzle anyway. And then Kelly is just like she sees the image and she knows where things go. And so her like ability to like understand this and implement it is like gold. So we flew through that and then we got to, I don't have it here, the second one, which was, Dean McAdams, the Ocean Lounge. And that was like, okay, this is busy. This is a lot going on and it's a lot more pick and place, like less sortable areas. And so I think through that puzzle is where we learned like what we needed to do if we ever face something like that again. And that's like to really use the sorting trays. Like we should have had bigger ones of these. So next time I'll be bringing my bigger ones so that we can have pieces closer to each of us. Because at one point, like you can even see in the live feed, like Alice is sitting next to me and the pieces are on the other side of the puzzle.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm literally like reaching over her. She's like in my armpit. No big deal. We're puzzling. Who cares? Like she's underneath. I'm on top. And we're just like trying to get all these pieces in. And I mean, it worked for us for that moment. But we were like, we could have done so much like that. We could have been faster if we would have put those pieces on trays and had them in front of us all. But I felt like our communication was so good. I felt like all of us are positive and we love puzzling. And so we were just encouraging each other and having a good time through it all. And so I think that was the best part of it is like the bond that we had with each other through that. Yeah.
And where did you place in the prelim?
Second in prelim.
Okay. And then in the finals, you also got second, which is incredible. I mean, it was like a super competitive field.
It's so competitive. And looking at all the stacked teams that we were going up against, it was like, I wanted to get in the top 5, but I didn't expect it. Like, it was like, this would be so cool if we could place in the top 5. And I think everyone else kind of underestimated us too. Like even in the live stream, it's like, we weren't talked about as like, oh, the Juggernauts are going to, be right up there. It was like, oh, like the Juggernauts just took second. Like, where did they come from? Well, here we are. So that like, I still get like goosebumps and like all jittery thinking about just the thrill of it all. Cause it was so much fun. And it was like that first puzzle. I have it here. Ta-da. It was so beautiful. And like we each tackled our own sections. Like Alice did she started on all of this. I started on the water and Hannah was doing her sorting thing and Kelly was doing her stuff. And then we all just came together. But we heard cheering like 4 minutes before we finished. There was a few teams. I don't know how many, but at least 2 teams had finished before we got to the second puzzle, which I don't have because it was a little bit of a difficult one. I don't want to see it for a while.
No, I understand.
I think 3.5 men finished this puzzle like at least 4 minutes before we finished it. Mm-hmm. So we already had that like deficit that we had to make it up. But we got that second puzzle out and we just were like, oh my word, it's going to be a slog. Like there is no way you can sort that puzzle. Just rainbow of colors all scattered throughout. There was no big areas that you could tackle. Um, but Hannah said immediately, we're going to need to shape sort at some point. And so we
Hmm.
kind of like tucked that away for later. And then I think we just like, I don't even know how we got through that. It was a blur. It was like mind boggling how hard that puzzle was. But we had at least 100, if not more, pieces left when Hannah made the call of like, we've got to shape sort. So Kelly and I went to shape sorting, and we put each shape the best that we could fit on each tray.
Yeah.
So it had like the 2 ins, 2 outs, the 2x2, however you call it, and then we, had the 1 foot and the 2 footers, and all those on different trays. And it's just amazing how once we did that, it just flew. It was like, we have arrived. It is so much easier to find the pieces now. We were telling each other, like, oh, right here, this is your tray. That, we were communicating, we were on fire. And yeah, those last pieces just flew in, and we finished 8 seconds ahead of that team that had the 3.5 men that had finished before us in the previous puzzle. And so we were just, oh my goodness, like we just, yeah, that's amazing. So it was the best. So fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations. Yeah, that's super exciting.
It is. Oh,
And it's interesting, like the different ways that people use the trays. Like,
yeah.
the Minnesota team, the Betches, like they have four big trays when they start and dump out all the pieces on the trays and do it that way. And different
Yes.
people use them to sort. I'm still kind of working out how I want to use them because
Mhm.
it's interesting. I feel like this year I sort of started leaning towards, oh, I like smaller trays. I feel like the bigger trays get in the way, but
Mhm.
the first nationals last year that I competed in, the very first one that they held, I just was a participant, like a convention participant and a volunteer for one of the rounds, but I didn't compete. But last year was the first year I competed, and I thought like, oh, I'm gonna get the biggest trays I can, because of course, don't you want like the maximum space? And I
Right.
feel like now I'm kind of like, I don't know, I feel like they get in the way, and I
Yeah.
kind of like the smaller ones. So it's kind of always what do they call it? Like give and take or cost benefit. I don't know. Jim had like a
Yeah.
good term for it, Jim Eakins. Yeah. So trade-offs, that's what it was. It's not even like a speed puzzling term. It's just a regular old everyday term that I couldn't remember.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Trade off.
Yeah.
I love
So
it.
it's interesting to hear like how you all use trays, how different people use trays and whatnot.
Yeah.
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 Um, so, we have a few minutes left, so just to kind of wrap up, anything else you want to share, either about your experience at nationals, maybe any like tips or lessons learned about speed puzzling in general for people?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to start speed puzzling, I recommend like starting small with 100-piece puzzles. Um, Pretty much any brand. Like we do use Ravensburger for like the bigger competitions, but I don't know if that's going to be always and forever. And smaller competitions use all different kinds of brands. So it's good to get familiar with different piece cuts, whether it's ribbon or random or anything else. Get out a little timer and time yourself. I don't know, watch. I think for me, I just have learned a lot from watching the like live streams and recaps from people on YouTube from the puzzle competitions. I wish I could have like one camera on like one person the entire time to watch from start to finish, but that's like a great way to learn and listening to their tips and tricks. But I think I just want to encourage anybody and everybody that's interested that like the puzzle community is super welcoming. The speed puzzlers, they may seem like, oh, they're so cool. I don't know. Like this is mindset. My mindset was like, no, they're so fast. I'll be so happy if they say hi to me. But they're not like you're part of the family. You show up to these puzzle events and everybody's there for each other. We're all happy to cheer each other on. And so if you like are a person that has a lot of like just mental struggles and doubts about yourself, like just know that there is a place for you and you deserve to be there and you are worthy. And like there's even if you're slow, it doesn't matter. Like if you're having fun and enjoying the puzzle and being a part of the community, like you're going to get so much out of that, and feel a part of something. And so you don't have to be the fastest to attend these events, and just be kind to yourself. Like, don't look at other people's times and think like that's just not something I could ever do. Be like, look at yourself and be like, I never thought I could finish this puzzle, like, or do a hard puzzle like this, and I'm here and I'm doing it, and it's scary, but like, be proud of yourself, and like, know that there's a place for everyone, at the table, at the puzzle table.
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah,
100% agree. I feel like that's such a great message and a great way to wrap up. So
yeah.
thank you, Jessa.
Yeah. And
Appreciate it.
I do want to say thank you, since we're here doing this for completing the puzzle, for sponsoring me to go, because I don't know if I would have been able to go otherwise. And so I super appreciate their like support of us, and that they show up to these events and are just as excited as all of us to be there and love puzzles and support us to get there. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Joyce.